about drug addiction, and we'll come to the Playhouse Loft Theatre for a short season between the 5th and the 9th of April. Now, the play revolves around Whoonga, a type of drug largely used in the country, which has had a catastrophic effect on communities around South Africa. Despite the serious theme, the creative team are quick to point out that Ulwembu is far from a say no to drugs play, but rather aims to showcase the facets behind issues faced by societies. To tell us more about the production, we are joined from our Durban studios by the Director Neil Coppen. Neil, thank you very much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me. Hi.
Neil, this is a serious issue, but one of the big things that you point out is how do we deal with a topic of this nature in a way that is not preachy?
Well, I think it's, most theatrical approaches on a subject like this would be the kind of terrifying people to out of any sort of ever trying drugs or going to high schools and really preaching to them. But I think it's a lot of those campaigns have proven that they don't necessarily work, and that we have to we have to explore or rather show the complexities of the problem. And I think it's not about being didactic or preachy. It's really about trying to show a story of very human characters, and make people kind of empathize with the problem a little more, and not see it as clear cut as a lot of those kind of theatre productions in the past would like to make it.
A lot of people, I know this might sound strange, but a lot of people will hear this name Whoonga for the first time this morning. They're not familiar with the drug. I mean, there are other drugs that people might know of, things like tick. But for those that don't know, what is Whoonga and who does it largely affect? Yeah.
I mean, Whoonga manifests in different forms around the country. It's Nayope in Johannesburg, it's mainly known as. It can be sugars in the Chatsworth community here in Durban. It's basically what Whoonga is, and its makeup. It's a kind of low-grade heroin, a really awful, dirty drug, and it's mixed with ratix or rat poison for the strychnine. So it's a really, really, as most drugs are, awful substance, and it has terrible, terrible health effects on young people using it or users. One of the worst side effects of Whoonga as a drug is that it creates an incredible terrible stomach pains, which is known as a rosta. So you smoke it, and within an hour or so of smoking the drug, you have these terrible crippling pains, and hence users have to go and find the next hit. And it's not just to stay high, it's actually to relieve yourself of this really awful pain which is afflicting you. And so this is the terrible cycle of Whoonga. You constantly trying to evade this really awful pain, which is why often users will resort to violence, because they're so desperate to get money for that next hit to relieve themselves of this extreme discomfort. And it's affecting communities here in KZN in such a huge way. I met a 10-year-old child the other day who was on it. I really don't think government has taken stock of what a kind of national disaster we're sitting on here with this sort of substance, and how it's pouring into the country, and particularly at KZN, where our research for this production has been based.
Part of a director's tool of the trade is a great cast, and being able to find the right people to do a little bit more than just tell a story, is to convey that emotion. Talk to me about the emotion. Talk to me quickly about the cast and who you're working with.
Yeah. I mean, this cast is just extraordinary. They've actually co-written the script. I kind of set up the process with educational sociologist Dylan McGarry, whose field of knowledge this also lies in. And we got top Durban actress Mpumi Mtombeni, who's I work with in everything. She's just the most extraordinary performer and researcher in mind and talent. And then the Big Brotherhood from KwaMashu, which is a group of 6 actors who are a community theatre group that deal with social issues. And I wanted to kind of pull all these different forces in and see what we could do. What happens if we, spent a year doing research on the problem, rather than just jumping in and trying to tell a story about it? How much did we really understand about this problem? And drugs are obviously a hugely complex issue. Like I said earlier, it's not as clear cut as you would make it. So we set the team up with teaching them how to do oral histories and ethical research. And they went out into the communities of KwaMashu and Umlazi, and they collected these stories, interviewing dealers, users, police, afflicted family members, a huge cross-section of Durbanites who were facing this problem head-on. And they transcribed those, they could do the interviews in Zulu, obviously, in Umlazi and KwaMashu. And from all those stories that we gathered, we then turned it into a play. So the actors are actually playing characters that they've directly spoken to and that they know. So they're embodying people whose stories they've actually collected themselves. And that makes a huge difference to the performances. This group is so deeply talented. I mean, like I say, they're not just actors doing lines. They are researchers, what Dylan calls intuitive sociologists. They are going out and getting these stories and embodying them. And I think there's a huge power in that. It's a kind of documentary theatre style, which we don't often see in this country. And it amazes me because it's such a powerful way to deal with social issues and issues of injustice, etc. in this country. Taking actual stories.
Neil, that sounds incredibly powerful. That's Neil Coppen. He's the director of Ulwembu, who's it's currently it will start on the 5th to the 9th at the Playhouse Loft Theatre in Durban. You've heard him say it's a powerful play. Go and check it out between the 5th to the 9th of April. We take an ad break, you know, go anywhere.